make sure the library gets it so that we all have an opportunity to just contribute a piece to Sarah's memory. So grab an arts and crafts this evening. If you want to work on it during the celebration, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, take it home and think of her. Thanks. The mayor says we'll start right on time in just a few minutes. Thank you, everyone.
I have our time is 5:28, so we'll start in 2 minutes. Good evening, Cedar Falls and Iowa and the nation. We're so glad you're here to join us tonight. I'm Mayor Rob Green, the mayor of Cedar Falls, and this evening our community is gathered here in beautiful Overman Park in downtown Cedar Falls, a special place in our community, home to our Tuesday night municipal band concerts, the Saturday morning farmers market, movies under the moon, and so many other special events that the Schmidt family knew, attended, and loved. We're here for another special event, the celebration of the lives of Tyler, Sarah, and Lula, whose lives were stolen from us, and who departed this world far, far too soon. And we rejoice in the safety of Arlo, and hold this celebration to memorialize how much Sarah, Tyler, and Lula meant to us as friends, neighbors, co-workers, and classmates. This evening we'll cry for this devastating loss, but we'll also smile and laugh as we hear about how this amazing and loving family touched each of our lives. I'll also note that funds are still being collected for Arlo's care and education, and the community is truly grateful for the national outpouring of support. If interested, you can reach the GoFundMe account established in his name at bit.ly/Arlo22. For tonight's celebration of life, we'll first have a reading of the obituary in Sunday's Courier. This is the story of their lives. For those of you who didn't know Tyler, Sarah, or Lula well, this text is a wonderful tribute to who they were and who they are and who they will always remain. After this, we'll share memories and stories that have been collected by the library over the past few days. We'll then hear from community members who wish to share their own stories. A grief counselor will offer us some insights and encouragement as we work through our shared grief together. And finally, the Schmidt and Morehouse families will read a family statement. Please note that restrooms and a water fountain are available behind the bandshell, and a fountain is located along Franklin Street. It's very important that we stay hydrated on this hot evening. We first celebrate the lives of our dear friends and neighbors through these words written of them. Tyler Gene Schmidt was born November 13, 1979 in Waterloo, Iowa, the son of Timothy and Deborah Meyer Schmidt. He graduated from Northern University High School in Cedar Falls, Truman State University in Kirksville, Missouri, and with a degree in computer science, and attended the University of Kansas in Lawrence. Tyler was an Eagle Scout and played trumpet, ran cross country, and was on the swim team in high school. He worked for Kmart, UPS, and for over 18 years worked for Trevapay. Tyler married Sarah Morehouse on June 2, 2002 at St. John Lutheran Church in Cedar Falls, and they honeymooned for 10 days at the Boundary Waters. He enjoyed going to Okoboji Lutheran Camp for family reunions, camping and canoeing, board and card games, hiking and snowshoeing, and had a love of computers and teaching Arlo coding, and was an excellent cook. Tyler loved his pets, helping with Lego League at Lincoln School, and was a Kansas Jayhawk basketball fan, was on the church board at Trinity Lutheran Church in Lawrence, and would never turn down an opportunity to go to Four Queens with his mother-in-law. Sarah Jean Schmidt was born March 27, 1980, in Kansas City, Kansas, the daughter of the late Paul Morehouse, MD, and Jean Rohrbach Morehouse. She graduated from Washington High School in Washington, Missouri, Truman State University, where she was a Truman Scholar, and earned her MA from the University of Kansas. Sarah worked for several years at Monarch Watch. After marrying Tyler, Sarah became a mother and had been working at Cedar Falls Public Library this past year. She played percussion, piano, and was in the high school marching band. Sarah enjoyed knitting, sewing Halloween costumes, crafting, making handmade greeting cards, being outdoors, birding, entomology, gardening, snowshoeing, cake decorating, pottery at the Hearst Center for the Arts. She was an avid reader and also played handbells at Trinity Lutheran Church in Lawrence. Sarah went backpacking with her mother in Belize, received the Gold Award in Girl Scouts, and was the youth representative for the Central State Synod Council, and was also active in Lincoln School Pals and in the MOPS group in Cedar Falls. And finally, Lula Ruth Schmidt was born September 17, 2015 in Lawrence, Kansas, the daughter of Tyler and Sarah. She attended Farmstead Preschool and pre-K at Lincoln Elementary School in Cedar Falls. Like her parents, Lula enjoyed outdoor activities, playing with her cousins, art, reading, and animals. She swam like a fish and was known to be a spitfire. Lula loved her stuffies, stuffed animals, being at school with her teachers and friends, and her Barbies and Our Generation dolls. She had a great sense of humor, helped her parents cook, and helped her brother with his animation scripts. They are survived by their son, brother, Arlo Schmidt of Cedar Falls, parents, grandparents, Timothy and Deborah Schmidt of Cedar Falls, and Jean Morehouse of Rapid City, South Dakota, siblings, aunts and uncles, Spencer and Jody Schmidt, and their children Josh, Gavin, and Nolan of Cedar Falls, Kelsey and Matt Weiss, and their children Lily and Willow of Lawrence, Kansas, Adam and Katie Morehouse, and their children Avery and Lauren of Chesterfield, Michigan, Jana and Ryan Jackson Morehouse of Rapid City, South Dakota, and Karen and Joseph Pollard and their children Sam and Luke of Tyler, Texas, grandparent and great-grandparent Arlene Meyer of Waunakee, Wisconsin, and their cats Leo and Cooper. Tyler, Sarah, and Lula were preceded in death by parent and grandparent Paul D. Morehouse, M.D., and grandparents and great-grandparents Delbert Meyer, Roger and Phyllis Schmidt, Doris and Gerald Rohrbach, and Ruth and Clarence Morehouse. Several readers have volunteered to share the memories and stories sent to the Cedar Falls Library this past week. So at this time, I would like to call forward Ambry Reefer of the Cedar Falls Public Library, Monica Iliff, a family friend, and Bert Flather, a family friend. Just be sure to read, go right into the mic because they won't hear it otherwise. And then the speech is right there, so or the text. You need me to go ahead and start? Or? Sure.
Sarah's friend Christina writes, Sarah was my friend. I met her when our oldest were babies and she lived in Lawrence, Kansas. I was a scared new mom and my baby would not latch properly, so I went to a breastfeeding group that our local hospital put on. Sarah was my friend the moment I saw her. Her face was a face you knew you could trust whether you knew her or not. She made my life better. She made me feel less anxious, and her words were soft and nurturing. Our babies grew, and we did too. We got to watch our girls grow those first few years together. We spent hot afternoons with our kids picking vegetables, meeting at the library, or going on long walks. She loved being outdoors, and she was good at getting me out too, even when I wasn't feeling up to it. I remember once Sarah and I went to coffee before Joanne's grand opening, and we wanted to be the first in line, and she was really looking forward to making Halloween costumes for her family. She was so great at keeping in touch, even after she moved away from Lawrence. She would text regularly and was excited about painting the rooms in their new house, all their outdoor adventures, getting a job at the local library, and the snowshoes they got. I'm forever thankful for her. She was such a bright light in my life. She knew how to live and was so good at being in the moment. Sarah, thank you for being my friend, for helping me through hard times, for loving me, for me. I'm so sad I won't be able to hug you again or see your beautiful face. I will forever treasure our friendship and your happiness. Love you forever.
To my friend, Sarah Schmidt, I am so devastated I don't even know what to think. I am so sad, angry, hurt, but also so happy that our paths crossed, that we became friends. I will never forget our playground chats while the kids play, kids up, or sitting in pals meeting together laughing and having fun. You also wore the most beautiful smile on your face, and your laugh was contagious. I remember when you told me you got the job at the library and how happy and excited you were to start. And your sweet little Lula. I loved seeing her coming to pick up Arlo in shoes or clothes we gave her and how happy she was in them. And getting to see her grow up before starting school, to being a para in preschool with her and spending some time with her in kindergarten. So heartbreaking to even try to think about. And Arlo, so smart. I love listening to him talk. He is just so brilliant. I pray for his healing and peace. I didn't know Tyler, but you always talked so highly of him that I felt I knew him. You guys were the perfect family. I pray for your extended family, and all the friends you guys had. I hope they can all find peace and continue to share amazing stories on how you touched their lives. Rest in peace, Tyler, Sarah, and Lula.
Family friend Jess remembers. Tyler and Sarah were the kindest, gentlest, and most peaceful, generous, loving humans, and both had a sense of humor that caught you by surprise. I had the fortune of meeting Tyler in our high school years, and when Sarah came into the picture in college, we clicked too, with a shared love of the outdoors and, of course, New Kids on the Block. On the other side of the musical spectrum, Tyler and I had this shared connection that only two people immersed in the band REM could understand. Last Saturday, I put on the album Automatic for the People to honor him. As Stipe sings in Sweetness Follows, Tyler, Sarah, and Lula lived their lives full of joy and wonder. Today, we are living ours in joy and thunder. Tyler, Sarah, and Lula, I hope the sweetness follows. I love you, and I miss you.
A friend and neighbor tells us, Sarah and I met on the playground at Lincoln, and she was one of those people you instantly considered a friend. We quickly realized we lived just up the street from one another, and so began coffee dates and long chats when walking past each other's homes. During COVID, we would keep in touch and set our lawn chairs 6 feet apart to have a much-needed drink after a long day of parenting. Sarah was always willing to help and volunteer her time. We served on Lincoln Pals together, and she was my constant source of information and entertainment that she brought to any volunteer opportunity. I will always remember Sarah for her bright smile, intelligent wit, and love of her family.
Emily Mosher, Sarah's friend from the Lawrence Moms group, shares, Sarah and Tyler were wonderful people. Our daughter Nora and Arlo grew up together. We would often play at parks, the pumpkin patch, or the nature center together. Tyler and Sarah helped us greatly when our son received a terminal diagnosis. They babysat Nora through medical appointments and helped at our son's funeral. Sarah was someone I felt safe sharing hard feelings with during that time in my life. Sarah and Tyler were good friends who made a positive difference everywhere they went and with everyone they met.
David Audiatori writes, Tyler was an amazingly bright software engineer that was always willing to jump in and support anyone. Not only was he one of the kindest individuals I had ever met, but he was so empathetic to his colleagues. He was a role model. I cannot express how much you will be missed.
I met Sarah and Lula through the locals' Moms Club. I always enjoyed talking to her. She was so friendly and talkative, and Lula was always so happy and playful. They will be so missed.
Jennifer Holliday writes, I was a friend and colleague of Sarah's while she was a graduate student at KU and working at the Kansas Biological Survey. Sarah and I spent many lunches together, chatting about nature and her research, talking about trail running, and sharing in the excitement of her pregnancy with Arlo. I'll never forget her attempt to recruit me as a trail hawk runner. Sorry, I failed. And then the fun of having Arlo come through the office with his blue-framed glasses on, just full of joy. I had the pleasure of meeting Tyler a few times, and their family unit was something to admire. I feel the loss of Sarah, Tyler, and Lula deeply, as I'm sure many others do. What a senseless loss of such a wonderful, innocent, caring people. To her family, I am heartbroken for you and cannot imagine this unbearable loss. Please know that they brought so much joy to our lives, and will continue to bring that joy through the memories we shared. Peace to you all and love from Lawrence, Kansas.
A friend remembers, Sarah was one of the few that I consider as good friends, and finding a mom friend with similar background and similar interests is like winning the lottery. Fortunately, I got to know Sarah and we became friends. Our mutual great concern for the health of our kids and other family members during COVID brought us closer. The laughter and conversations that we shared were the light for me during the difficult pandemic time. I loved Lula and Arlo's silly smiles in the pictures that you shared. Dear Miss Lula, a bright little girl with such a big heart, I was looking forward to seeing you grow up with so many wonderful possibilities. I wish you rest in peace with your loving mom and dad. Dear Mr. Arlo, if I get to see you again, can I give you a hug for your mom? Your journey will be rugged and gloomy for a while now that you lost your best companions and cheer squad, but please keep in mind that you are loved by so many, and we will walk with you and hold your hand.
A letter on behalf of Sarah's Kansas Biological Survey family and others at the University of Kansas. Dear Sarah, here we are in late July on your University of Kansas campus, in the building that you were always filled with such enthusiasm for what you were doing and with your interest in all of us. Fond memories can help ease the overwhelming sadness and concern that we now feel with losing you and your family members. But not losing, since special memories are forever. What excitement you always shared with us for your new research challenges, your teaching joys, news of your growing young family, and recent sporting events with you as a player or a fan. You also always had time to visit with all of us. For me, personally, as your advisor for your last few years, you gave me the special opportunity to have that role one more time for the last time before I retired. Looking back over my more than 50 years of working with students here at KU and elsewhere, you are so special. You chose a research project on our nearby large and ever-changing, even dangerous Kansas River. Few would pursue such a challenging direction, but you were determined to discover what the little microscopic algae were doing out there. You did just that, even with floods, disappearing or damaged equipment, and finding ways to answer new questions. Just getting out there on that big river was more than many people could accomplish, and navigating an airboat, no less. Even after all my years, you were inspiring and always great fun to watch. All of us here feel your presence, and you will always be close by. With love, from Jerry Denoyles and others.
Helen Alexander, University of Kansas professor and on her graduate committee, recalls, I knew Sarah when she was a graduate student at University of Kansas. I study plants, so I was a bit surprised when she asked me to be on her committee. I know very little about aquatic ecology and rivers, the focus of her project. But I said yes, and I'm glad I did. I enjoyed getting to know Sarah. She worked hard on research that was honestly quite challenging. Not easy to study the organisms in a river. She put lots of effort into boats, etc., to just get to the sites she was studying. Sarah clearly was hardworking and put a lot of herself into the project. But what I remember most was her pleasant and easygoing personality, her willingness to work with others, and her smile.
Gene Dasher, Tyler's coworker and friend, says, I worked with Tyler many times over the years. He was a brilliant programmer and a truly genuine human being. I know that he loved his family with everything he had, and he lived for them. He always had a smile on his face, regardless of the situation, which made even bad ones seem okay. I also know he had great faith in God, which gives me hope that I will see him again one day. For the Schmidt and Morehouse families, there are people all over the nation who are sharing your grief and praying for all of you.
James Simmons, Tyler's colleague and friend, writes, I had the pleasure of working with Tyler over the past 14 years and have become good friends with him over that time. He was one of the kindest and smartest people I knew. He was my go-to person when I had technical questions or wanted to run ideas by him or even just talk about non-work related things. We would talk about the trips with his family, whether it was to the local ice cream shop, which they all loved, or the various camping trips to hike and explore. He talked about how much Arlo and Lula loved it, which is rare for kids nowadays. The team always enjoyed the pictures and stories Tyler would show and tell when he got back from their trips. Tyler would also talk about how much Arlo was liking his Lego League team and also programming, and how Tyler would have Arlo would have Tyler QA, quality assurance, his apps as he added more features, a process we know well from our work. I'll never forget his love for Baja Blast Mountain Dew, as well as other flavors he would try. Donuts were a team favorite, and Peeps. Back when we were in the office, Tyler would bring in boxes of his beloved Peeps for us to try the various flavors. Who knew there were so many different ones? I am sure going to miss all our conversations and fun moments. My heart goes out to Arlo and the rest of the family. Rest in peace, Tyler, Sarah, and Lula.
Andrea, a friend of Sarah's through the mom group, recalls, I have so many memories of trips to the pumpkin patch, stroller walks, library story times, mom's night, and much more from when my son and Arlo were little. I can picture Sarah's smile and hear her voice and her contagious laugh. I am so thankful to have had her as a friend.
Vicki Walworth, Tyler's Trevape colleague, writes, I worked with Tyler almost 18 years. Tyler made an impact both with the work he produced and the people he mentored. He was an awesome colleague. Anytime I had a question or needed anything, he was there to help out, no matter the request. He treated everyone with kindness. He was an awesome human being. He shared family pictures and stories, and it was very clear how much he loved them.
A library coworker writes, though we worked together only 10 months, I will forever miss working with Sarah. An effervescent force, she made an impact like no other. I remember when she started, she was right away so personable and meshed so well with everyone. Because she was so multifaceted, she was able to connect with us all individually and remarkably so. Her absence is stark and palpable. I still clearly hear her voice, her laugh, her joke about the hamster in her head struggling to get going in the early morning. I can only seek now to live my life how she always did, absorbing the beauty of the outdoors, even in the bitter cold, but when snowshoeing seems advantageous, dedicating my life to those who I love in even the smallest ways. A lunchtime Target run to pick up the Barbie Lula wanted was not unheard of. To never ever stop learning. Pottery, impressive cake making, crueling, she was gladly on the creative challenge and made it look effortless. And to laugh. She had a great sarcastic sense of humor. She could cheer me up so easily. That we shared, that is a pure joy. I miss her and love her, and I wish she knew how appreciated she was.
Donna, an old friend of Sarah's, writes, I first met Sarah in high school in Washington, Missouri. We were in the marching band together, both in percussion, and she was a gifted musician and wonderful person in general, always friendly and always willing to lend a hand. One thing that people may not know is that she helped me with painting a mural on a high school music department wall. We both attended Truman University and stayed in touch as she moved on to Kansas and I went back to Washington, Missouri. Over the years, we sent Christmas cards to each other every year, and I love seeing her beautiful family. We talked about everything from science to her work with the monarchs, how to use kites for aerial photography, and the outdoors, which she loved, and many other things. I will miss her and send much love to her family.
Sarah's friends, Anne, Shaylin, Lissa, and Emily, a.k.a. the Movie Night Crew, remembers. Sarah was always one for the little details. Every story she told included all the extra information that you really didn't need, but that really gave you the full imagery of being there yourself. Her love of details and her propensity for chattiness came through on movie nights. We got together regularly as a group, on the pretense of watching a movie, but it was just an excuse to meet up, catch up, and most importantly, to eat. Often we missed most of the movie because we couldn't stop chatting. One night, it wasn't our talking, but a damaged DVD that interrupted our movie. Later that night, while the rest of us went to bed, Sarah was on a mission. Never one to let a question go unanswered, Sarah found several summaries of the movie online and combined them into her own synopsis to fill in the missing 15 minutes. She emailed us around midnight. After 4 paragraphs summarizing 15 minutes of the movie, she concluded, "So we really didn't miss much."
The Lincoln Elementary staff and family write, Tyler and Sarah, we are so thankful we had the opportunity to partner with each of you. Our school is a better place due to your involvement and support of not only your children, but of all of our students. Thank you for the extraordinary gift of your children. Lula, we will miss your sweet smile, eagerness to learn, your independence, and ability to do the right thing while encouraging others. You were an amazing friend to all. We only wish we had more time with you to see you grow. We were so lucky to share you with your family. They cared deeply for you. You will always be part of Team Lincoln, and we will miss you dearly. We love you, Lula. Arla, you are a brave and intelligent boy. Your personal qualities are incredible, and our school is lucky to call you our student. You are an amazing friend, classmate, and human being. We can't wait to see you at school. Team Lincoln will always be here for you. We love you.
Cole Chrismark, a friend of Tyler's, writes, Tyler was always a joy to be around. He was always smiling and a positive force whenever I saw him. It won't be the same on Fridays without him.
Ann Schweiger writes, childhood friend and neighbor on Murner Avenue recalls, my memories of Tyler are of him as the kind, smart, and always happy older brother to my childhood friend Kelsey and their youngest sibling Spencer. Growing up, my family and Tyler's lived a few blocks apart on Murner Avenue in Cedar Falls. Tyler would often play outside with all of us younger kids and was never, ever without a smile. Tyler's smile was big, sincere, bright, and for everyone. I finally recall a brief conversation with Tyler, and I had a whole bunch of summers ago, in which we discovered a shared affinity for the music of REM. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Tim, Debbie, Tyler, Kelsey, and Spencer, for all of the times we shared growing up. With love, Anne.
Bob Everhart, a friend and colleague, remembers, I first met Sarah when she started her master's degree at KU. She and I were grad students at the same time and shared many experiences. The KS Bio Survey, GK-12 Fellowship, field and lab work, and all of their trials and frustrations. She was always a light and sympathetic ear. Shortly after I met Sarah, I met Tyler, then later Kelsey and Matt. The love and joy of their families filled the world around them, and we were lucky that it spilled over to the rest of us as well. My family grew and theirs did too, and we continued to keep in touch as Arlo and then Lula came along. We moved to Iowa City, then moved to Cedar Falls. My kids used to play with the Fisher-Price little people, and there was a little girl with curly brown hair and a little boy with blonde hair and a little baby in a baby seat. We called them Sarah and Tyler and baby Arlo, and later baby Lula. My kids were so excited to show them to the real Sarah and Tyler and Arlo and baby Lula. The real Sarah and Tyler and Arlo and Lula, yes. Also, we want you to know that many people knew your mother and father and sister were special. Many of us cared for them deeply. They were wonderful. Your family is full of love and kindness, and our lives are better for knowing you all.
Carrie Everhart, a friend, writes, the thing that keeps rising to the top when I think about Sarah and Tyler is how dedicated they were to doing the very best thing for Arlo and Lula at every turn. Most of the conversations I've had with Sarah over the past 9 years have been about how to make the best, and therefore sometimes hardest, decisions about parenting. Even though I knew her as a research scientist in Lawrence, I was also lucky enough to catch her in her newfound element at the Cedar Falls Public Library this fall, and she was just so happy and so good at this as well. I think in all the areas, she was a natural teacher and learner. She will be so missed by this world.
Their Aunt Sue writes, they were dedicated to their family and loved the community. They were the most kind, sweet, loving people, and we will miss them dearly.
Charlie Parkhurst, age 6 and classmate of Lula, writes, Lula had the longest hair in our whole class. and adds a smiley face at the end.
A community member writes, I attended the Hartman Reserve Library event recently, and the kids were there. They were so curious and interested in learning more about the outdoors, thinking of the family and sending lots of comfort.
A friend recalls, they were such a bright, beautiful, and fun-loving family. I loved their curiosity and awe of nature. Their loss leaves a hole in the heart of our community.
A community member remembers, they shopped with us many times. They will be missed at the farmers markets.
Olivia writes, I was their mail carrier, and I enjoyed seeing them all the time. Tyler walked everywhere, so I saw him every day. And when Sarah turned 40, I remember her getting 40 cards in the mail from her family. It was awesome to deliver those to her. Just amazing people.
Bindi Comito, Tyler's high school classmate, writes, I will always remember how kind, funny, and smart Tyler was. I also remember our questionable food choices during open campus lunch in high school, especially that Chinese restaurant by Quick Star back in the day.
A colleague of Tyler's recalls, one of the first memories I have of Tyler is me asking him if he had a sweet tooth, to which he replied he did not. After we had a lot of conversations about his love for Mountain Dew and how he loved taking his family to the ice cream shop, I guess he did.
A neighbor writes, our daughter rode to school with the Schmidts every day and would play Disney movie soundtracks in the car. Lula loved to sing along and smile.
At this time, I'll now invite Brian and Teresa Carr to share a special memory of theirs. Brian and Teresa Carr are the fairy godparents of our neighborhood, Sartori Park. And it was through the Sartori Park neighborhood and the fellowship that we had that was largely fostered by the Carrs that my family got to know the Schmidts.
We met the Schmidt family in the first pandemic summer when hanging out on our front porch became a way for us to connect with the outside world. Thanks to our across-the-street neighbor, Tyler O'Brien, who had surreptitiously planted a variety of gnomes, apes, and fairies in our front garden, we enjoyed seeing neighborhood children of all ages stop to visit the tiny plastic zoo. We capitalized on that attraction by posting a joke of the day on a chalkboard on the porch, then added a notice at the sidewalk informing pedestrians that you have entered the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Silly Walks. Commence silly walking immediately, with credit to Monty Python. The first time I saw someone obeying the sign with a silly walk, I stepped outside to cheer them on and was further rewarded with a joke to put on the chalkboard for the next day. I kept a journal of those early joke ideas from neighbors, and that day's entry was, from little blonde, silly walking girl. Her joke was, knock knock, who's there? Cargo. Cargo who? Cargo beep beep. And from her strawberry blonde brother, what do you call a flying turtle? A shellicopter. Thus began our frequent visits with Arlo, Lula, Tyler, and Sarah as they strolled by from their home about 5 blocks away. Arlo would come prepared to articulately deliver a joke. At first, then 4-year-old Lula's style was to make up a joke on the fly, and whether it made sense or not, we'd laugh, and her little face would just light up. While the children played in the fairy garden, we chatted with Sarah and Tyler. We were smitten. By the following summer, when we were able to safely resume some of our regular Sartori Park neighborhood outdoor gatherings, the Schmidt family joined in, and we loved seeing them interact with our other neighborhood friends. I'll never forget the 2021 Halloweeny party, especially watching Arlo and Lula play with our grandchildren. Lula was a flash of yellow in her Pokemon Pikachu costume, playing tag with our little Hazel dressed as a skunk. And over in a quiet corner of the garden, there was Arlo and Armika. They had teamed up to pick the remainder of the cherry tomatoes. They piled them into a mound on a paper plate and served them to the other guests at the party like they were the waitstaff at a fancy party. Except those boys gobbled down about as many tomatoes as they served along the way. Did I mention that we were smitten? Tyler and Sarah possess the superpower of truly seeing people and helping people to feel seen and heard in such life-affirming ways. And they were bringing up Arlo and Lula likewise as young ambassadors. We give thanks for our memories of Tyler, Sarah, and Lula, and wish healing and peace to Arlo and each one of their loved ones.
With the time that we have available, we have a few moments. If any of you feel led or called in a few minutes to share a story as well, perhaps you didn't feel comfortable sharing it just yet on the library website, but if you feel led to share a story or two, you're more than welcome to come up. Before that time, just so you can think about whether to come up or not, for the past 10 days, we've been dealing with some tremendous shock and grief. I've invited Marie Harvey and her staff of grief counselors to the podium to provide us with some insights and encouragement as we all process through these difficult emotions together. Marie Harvey is the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes Specialist Program Director for DSAOC and is a community expert on grief counseling. So, Marie has also brought staff with her. They'll be available after if you would like to talk with them. They offer free counseling as a service funded partly through the United Way and are here to help us as we process through this grief together. And I would also note, I hope it's helpful and healing to those who are watching on live stream as well. If you don't feel comfortable being with us here tonight, I hope that this will be healing for you as well. So please, Marie.
Good evening. As Mayor Green said, my name is Marie Harvey, and I'm the Program Director for the Homicide Other Violent Crimes Program. Along with me tonight is Jamie Hoos, who is our child advocate through the program, and Hannah Slisky, who is our staff in Waterloo. On behalf of us and our whole entire program, we offer you, the family, friends, community, our deepest sympathies. We were asked to come and briefly talk about grief and some of the feelings you all as a community may be feeling. You're not alone. There are no right feelings, no wrong feelings, no you're going to feel this today, tomorrow at 5 o'clock you're going to feel this, 7 o'clock this. Your feelings are all going to be like a roller coaster all over the place. You might laugh sometimes, you might cry, you might feel numb, you might feel sick to your stomach. You might be overcome with just extreme emotion and crying. These are all normal. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. All of you have been affected by this senseless act of violence in some way or another, but you all will not have the same reactions, the same feelings at the same time, and that's okay. You need to lean on each other. You need to allow yourself to feel. Say their name. Talk about them. Laugh together. Cry together. The person that did this took away the lives of Sarah, Tyler, and Lula. But he can't take your memories away. Cherish them and keep them in your heart. If you're needing help, reach out to someone. Reach out to us. Reach out to a close friend, another community service provider. But know that you're not alone and that we're here for you. Thank you.
And with that, I will open up the microphone if there is anyone who would wish to speak tonight. Not going to put pressure on anyone. There may be no one who wants to tonight, and that is completely fine. But if so, this is your opportunity. I'll give just a moment here. Okay, so at this point, I'm finally honored to invite the Schmidt and Morehouse families to say a few words. And I understand first, Dr. Renita Schmidt, the aunt of Tyler, will say a statement for us.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. I was Tyler's aunt, Nita, and my husband Dan is Tim's brother. Tyler was born 3 weeks after our oldest child, Todd, and so I watched him grow up. And then we were his godparents as well, and we were the host and hostess at his wedding. So he and Sarah mean the world to us, and we listened to this beautiful theme of joy and effervescence and how much happiness they brought to everybody, and that's the same thing that we feel in our family. I gotta tell you a few things about Tyler especially. Spencer comes into the mix too, but Tyler especially, and it's before I read the message that Tim and Debbie asked me to share with you. So Tyler didn't just play board games. Tyler was insane about board games. I think that they've played every board game that ever was created. And he started challenging me to Scrabble at about age 10. And lo and behold, Arlo challenged me to Scrabble when he started to read about age 4. So that continues. I have had 3 games of Scrabble with Arlo this week, if you can believe that. And I live in Iowa City, and it still has happened. Then Sarah comes into the mix, and Sarah immediately begins to learn the names of all 75 people in the Schmidt family, and that's the immediate Schmidt family. And she knew them right away, and we get this bouncy, wonderful person who's got the same sense of humor as her quirky husband, Tyler. And then there's Lula, who I haven't gotten to see very much in the last 2 years because of COVID. But she whispered and giggled with my grandson all the time. So, of course, we've got the same effervescence happening there. Let me share with you what Tim and Debbie want me to share with you today. They're at home with Arlo tonight. Our hearts are beyond broken and our lives shattered to pieces. We go on for Arlo to love and support him. This quote from an anonymous author has helped us. When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Tyler, Sarah, and Lula have given us so many loving memories to hold within our hearts. We know many of you also have wonderful memories of them, and we just heard so many. Tyler and Sarah moved to Cedar Falls because of the community here and because of the schools. When you see any of us, please share your memories of them, for it fills our treasure box. Tyler, Sarah, and Lula changed the world by being who they were, and through their daily interactions with many of you, their love, joy, and kindness made the world a better place. The light of their beautiful souls has been put out, but we ask you to each carry that light forward. Tim and Debbie Schmidt. Thank you.
And now I'd like to call up to the podium Karen and Jana Morehouse, who will offer some words as well. Karen and Jana are the sisters, beloved sisters of Sarah.
First, I have to say, wow. I think this is pretty incredible that all of you would come out to support us and to support Arlo and to remember my sister, my brother-in-law, and my niece. They, as Nita said, they moved to Cedar Falls because of the community, because of Tyler's memories here growing up and how much he loved it. And they knew that this was the place that they wanted to raise Arlo and Lula. And they did. They took every advantage of everything they could. They knew all of the geocaches around town. They knew all of the Pokestops around town. And they continued to be a part of the community and change the community for the better. And we are so very grateful for everybody's support in the last 10 days. I don't know what I was expecting or anything, but we can feel the love everywhere we go from all of you and for your support. My sister said earlier that Sarah was, of course, the tallest and had the best hair of all of us. And my mother, Jean, and my brother, Adam, and my sister and I just, again, thank you for your memories of Sarah. We have so many more. I have 37 years of amazing. And I felt it more appropriate to just kind of read a poem that we could all hear together. This is by Scribbles and Crumbs. It's okay. It's okay to miss them. It's okay to say their name. Tyler, Sarah, Lula. It's okay to cry. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to breathe deeply. It's okay to smile when you think of them. It's okay to function, and it's okay to have days when you can't function. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be thankful. It's okay to love again. It's okay to remember. It's okay to hope. It's okay to be honest. It's okay to trust again. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Thank you.
I wish to thank everyone here tonight for joining us. I have many other thank yous to give. I'm not going to be able to give them all tonight, but I especially want to thank the families who've poured themselves into this tragedy, who've reached out through meals, through donations, through hugs, and who've shown the best of what Cedar Falls is to these devastated families. I also want to thank Kate Flather and Joan Bestman Taylor and Kelly Stern, that's right down here, for their help in organizing the ceremony today. It's National Night Out, and this is normally a time where we would be out in our neighborhoods having picnics and getting together and celebrating what it means to be a neighborhood. And I felt it was only fitting to have this service on National Night Out. And I'm overjoyed to see the pockets of neighborhoods that have congregated here, and ask that you would continue to fellowship with one another and to build and maintain strong neighborhoods, because that's what keeps our communities thriving, and it was the best of what the Schmidts represented. They cared about community, they cared about each other, they cared about you and me. I would ask for us to live that out by caring for one another. I also would like to thank our live stream partners tonight. This is so important. I'm grateful for KWWL and KCRG, because this service isn't just for us here tonight. This is for Arlo. This is for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road. When he watches this, Arlo, speaking to you as potentially a 20-year-old, maybe a 30-year-old, I want you to know how much your community loves you. You are Cedar Falls. And this concludes our celebration of life. Again, coinciding with National Night Out. Tyler, Sarah, Arlo, and Lula were enthusiastic neighborhood boosters in their own neighborhood of Sartori Park. And I hope you'll be inspired to take an active part in your own neighborhood, sharing your life with your neighbors, as Tyler, Sarah, and Arlo have with us. This concludes the ceremony. I will note that at 7:15, the Cedar Falls Municipal Band is holding its brass ensemble tonight, and I would invite all neighbors to stay for that, to fellowship in the meantime, but to enjoy a concert series that the Schmidts surely loved as much as we do. So you're invited to stay, and I thank you so much for your attendance tonight. We are dismissed.